Hello there. Today I want to take a look at how the IBM 8514A can be used in dual monitor setups. But I thought I would also go ahead and do a little bit of Q&A on this, looking at questions that I got on the video that I just put out on my main channel about the history of this card and its impact on the industry. But I actually didn't get that many comments, so I guess it was a well-researched video. What I did get, though, were a couple of criticisms that I think are worth addressing. First was that I stated GDI evolved into DirectX, and I had some people point out in the comments that Microsoft just bought Direct3D or DirectX from another company and integrated it into Windows. And fair point. When I wrote that, I was mostly just trying to come up with a smooth off-ramp for the end of the video there, and I meant more that the way that people accessed hardware evolved from GDI to DirectX, but my word choice was pretty bad there. So yeah, DirectX is not a direct descendant of GDI. The majority of complaints in the comments, though, is that this is not the first GPU. Which I would first like to point out that there's an asterisk in the thumbnail, and that's because in English, the asterisk means that there is additional context provided somewhere else. And that additional context was given in the very beginning of the video here. This card was the first GPU for PCs to actually make a meaningful impact on the market. So the first GPU for PCs and had widespread market adoption. Those are two very big qualifiers, and I had those for a reason, because we can find the term GPU at least as far back as 1976. And it's also not the first PC GPU, because there was an NEC chip that was capable of doing GPU-related tasks as well, that I believe was put on ISA cards for the PC. But the main thing that people seem to want to point out is that NVIDIA created GPUs and the term with the release of the GeForce 256, which is just flat out wrong. As I already stated, the term GPU dates back to the 70s, so they did not invent that term. And their whole marketing around the GeForce 256 was just moving the goalposts as to what counts as a GPU. 3D graphics is a completely arbitrary requirement for a GPU. Heck, this does 3D graphics if you count wireframe rendering, so that doesn't make any sense. What I would personally define as a GPU is any device like this that can modify its own frame buffer independent of the CPU to change the video output. This card takes commands to the coprocessor, changes the video memory, and then outputs that over the VGA signal without the CPU being involved after the initial commands. That is a GPU. But that's enough about that. I'm sure that there are NVIDIA fanboys who will fight me until the bitter end about that. Speaking of this, there is one other thing that I would like to point out that's a minor errata about the video. I framed this as the memory expansion, but actually just these sockets here and here are the memory expansion. This is a required part for the board to work. It's just really boring to look at when you have it all sandwiched together. So I kind of had it taken off, and I did not make that clear that you can actually socket additional memory on this. And that's how you do 256 color at 1024 by 768. For now, though, let me go ahead and sandwich this back on, and let's go ahead and pop this back in the PS2 and check out what multi-monitor is like. And also why I didn't want to do it in the main video. Now, the way that the 8514 works is a little weird. I mentioned that this can only work in one particular slot on this board, and I didn't go into a lot of detail on that because it's kind of weird. The way I think it works is that the extra pins on the front of this slot carry the digital version of the VGA signal, and then it gets used by the card, but it's not the analog data as far as I'm aware. Now, inside the 8514A, there is a video switch chip that switches between the onboard video and the generated video of the card itself. That means that this outputs either the onboard video or the internally generated video. But the onboard video is always output over the onboard VGA connector, which means that when the 8514's internal video generator is being output, this is outputting something different. Now, the fact that they're outputting something different means that multi-monitor is possible, and normally that is possible on a standard PC as well, but the way that it works is a little different. VGA and CGA and EGA use the same address space as each other. MDA does not and is in a completely different region of memory, which means you can do VGA, CGA, or EGA and MDA at the same time. However, the 8514A does not operate in the standard VGA address space. Matter of fact, the 8514A, and this is where my research gets a little fuzzy and is one of the reasons why I did not include this in the main video, the 8514A doesn't actually allow direct access to the frame buffer at all. You must go through hardware level commands to be able to modify it. So it doesn't even work the same as onboard VGA or CGA or EGA. Now, the downside to the way that the 8514A and the onboard video works is that getting support for multi-monitor is very complicated because the software must support directly driving the 8514A. And the only software I know of that properly supports the multi-monitor is AutoCAD. And I have R11 here that we can use. The upside to the way that it works, though, is that this is the only setup I am aware of for dual monitors that can actually use two VGA monitors instead of a VGA and MDA display. Now, while this is firing up, I will acknowledge that the Matrox dual head cards do exist, but they're kind of more of a hack. Getting multi-monitor support in Windows was done by making essentially one giant Linux-style X server that spans both displays, and it's not the most ideal experience. Also, by direct driving the 8514, I don't mean hardware direct access, I mean it has to know how to speak to the 8514. You'll understand what I mean in a moment. So here we have both displays running, and we can see that we have this one displaying everything in color over here, and this one displaying everything in monochrome. That's just because this is the 8503 monochrome display. The reality is we're never going to put anything color over here because even though it is multi-monitor over VGA, AutoCAD just treats it as if it was an MDA monitor anyway, so we're never going to see color on this no matter what. Now, before we continue, I want to stop and take a moment to appreciate that this is the only time you're going to see zero flicker in this video. After the next demonstration, I'm going to make this display be the one that flickers, and you'll understand why in a moment. If I load the AI driver for the card and then launch the Mahjong program that can drive this, that doesn't quite do it correctly on that display, you'll see that the 8514A unique video only ends up on the monitor directly connected to it, which results in having the two different displays. But also, you'll notice the giant scan line rolling across the screen because this drops down to 60 Hertz for the 640 by 480 display. We also get some curious stuff going on with the mouse cursor between the two displays, but we'll just ignore that for now because for some reason this is sending the CRTC controller commands to that Motorola CRTC chip that's also moving a cursor around over here. Now, this is what I would call an unsolvable problem in filming CRTs, because either this is always going to have this scan line or this is going to flicker. There is no shutter speed that I can use that is going to be a lowest common denominator between these that will be acceptable. So here is my 8514 synced footage. Now, there is one thing about this that I can't really explain. There is still a dark scan line here, even though I bumped this up to 60 Hertz recording. Apparently, this is running ever so slightly faster than 60 Hertz. Maybe there's a capacitor timing thing going on. I don't know, but this is as good as it's going to get. And it's definitely going to be better to have the shutter speed sync to this because the monochrome monitor here, and this is one reason why monochrome is ideal for this setup, has slower phosphors that'll be a little bit more difficult to see the flicker on. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and reboot, and I will show you how the dual monitor setup actually works. Now I have a little bit of a fun surprise, but we'll take a look at that in a moment. For now, I'm going to have a fresh boot of the computer because I can't click quit in Mahjong 8514 because it renders that off to the side on the 640 by 480 monitor. So with the HDI loaded, we can switch over to the AutoCAD directory and we can launch AutoCAD. Now, I had some people interested in knowing how to set all of this up, and the answer is the 8514 works like a lot of older hardware. It's just driven directly by the software. So once you have the software on the computer, there's really not a lot to it. I'm going to configure AutoCAD here to use the HDI interface for the 8514. So we're going to change this here, and we're going to switch over to this 6. Now this question is where this gets interesting. Is the 8514A's adapter display the only display on your computer? We are going to answer no. Then it always asks if you want to like measure what's square. I don't really care. Oh, I did it by accident. Oh well. Do I want a status line? Yes, we do want a status line, but we do not want a command prompt area. We do want the screen menu, and we're going to go ahead and accept all of the default background colors. Now we can quit back to the main menu, save, and I'll go ahead and open one of the sample files like skate truck. And now we get the glorious 8514 experience where it somehow manages to slow down the render. And there we are. So the way AutoCAD works is kind of like OpenSCAD, if you're familiar with it. It's command driven to describe your model. Now, one thing I can do here that is a very easy way of demonstrating this is I can run the redraw command. Now you'll notice nothing showed up over here, but it did show up there. And if I run that, it will draw the model over again. People who are very proficient at AutoCAD will learn how to use the command line a lot more than the mouse and clicking in the GUI and all that. It's actually kind of funny. Every time I've ever shown a digitizer pad with AutoCAD or other CAD software, I get people who will tell me, nah, man, we just use the command line because that's the way to do it. Because once you get more familiar with it, that will be faster. Now, one thing we can do here is just repan the image to something else, and we can see here we have the option of typing in our angle. Let's go ahead and do a 45-degree angle instead of clicking. There we go. And if I wanted to, I could go ahead and pan the view, and I'm going to run the pan command, and then I'm going to go ahead and click my way through it here instead of typing it. This works both ways. And that's kind of the gist of it. Only having the one example for how this works and having it set up be very, very specific to knowing how it works makes this really difficult to demonstrate. However, I do have one more thing that I want to showcase with this setup, because thanks to the awesome work of Peter, we can actually make this thing fly now. On this flash drive, I have a file that should allow us to unlock the full potential of the 8514 through the AutoCAD ADI driver. Minor fun thing here, by the way. I think for every video now, I've actually had this GoTech in this slot, and I just put the cover over it because I want it to look pretty for the videos. But having to go into the stupid BIOS with the reference disk to remove drive B just from unplugging it is so annoying that I'm probably just going to leave the GoTech in there forever with the cover over it, even though it would be nicer to have it, you know, exposed. But such is the life of a PS2 user. All right, and let's check out our file. It's also kind of funny with the dual monitor setup. I can give you a nice head-on view of what's showing on the display, but I can look at the other one and not have to have a weird angle or something. So if we go back over to drive C, we'll find the DLD 386 folder. Now, if you didn't see the main video, man, you have missed a lot. But this is the Panacea AutoCAD driver for the 8514. The thing is, though, is that this is a demo. So if we look at this, This file is the README for DLD 386, and it is the demo version, unfortunately. There's no way I can find the full version. I'm not going to be able to buy it. There's no way that we're going to be able to get this. I would love to buy it. I'm actually still trying to find a copy of AutoShade 2 for my AutoCAD. I want a legit full copy of that. If anyone has one, hit me up. But this, it's never going to happen. But this DLD 8514A EXP file appears to be the main brains of this. And we're going to go ahead and rename that file, DLD 8514A.exp to DLD 8514A.back. Because one of my supporters, Peter, has removed the restrictions for the commands that the demo version locks out. And I think we'll be able to run everything we want with this now. So let's just copy DLD 8514A.exp to drive C. And we should be good to go now. So to run the ADI driver, we run fast AutoCAD. Actually, what we should do first is run DLD setup. Now, demo version, not unexpected here that this is just the setup. I don't know if this will work. So we have the option between single and dual screen. We're gonna go ahead and try dual screen because I don't think that's locked out in the demo. And then we have some other stuff. I have no idea what these are. I assume they're AutoCAD specific things. Fun fact, if you have the ATI drivers on the computer, this doesn't work. It needs the actual IBM font file, which, by the way, the fonts for the 8514 are stored as font files. I don't know what format they actually are, but this allows software like AutoCAD to access higher resolution fonts for this card. I assume other software uses it, maybe Word as well, but it's kind of funny that they had to ship higher resolution fonts just because the VGA mode fonts that we get like this don't work. Well, actually, they probably just straight up don't exist now that I think about it, since it doesn't emulate a CRTC. Man, the 8514 is weird. Anyway, we're gonna F10, continue, and now we can run fast AutoCAD, and we should be clear to launch AutoCAD again. All right, now we can go to configure AutoCAD, and we're going to change our video display option again, and we're going to pick the ADI. Now, this still isn't going to be fully feature complete. So we're going to say I do want the status line. I do not want the command prompt area. I want the menu area. So we didn't define colors. And when we go back to the main menu, we'll go ahead and save the changes. It's actually going to complain that we don't have colors defined. So I think that might have been something that we could do with the full version that we still can't do with this. And it's possible that there is a specific color generator that we're just missing in the demo. So we're not going to be able to do that no matter what, which means we get black on white drawing, which, ugh. Oh, I did not properly close the AutoCAD stuff. Yeah, AutoCAD is such a joy to use. All right, you know what? Since we're leaving this anyway, let me make sure that there isn't just a color generator. Oh, DLD color.exe. Wait a minute, can I just generate color file? Oh my gosh, I can just generate a color file? Dude, this is crazy. Oh, here we go. Graphics area background. I want to be black. Oh yeah. Okay, text area background. Okay, I'm gonna guess that background thing there is what that is. No, it's like dark blue. Okay, so we were there, and then red. Oh, it's that. I didn't know we could change that. I mean, that's kind of fun. Hold on, no, we're making that purple. Heck yeah. Alert box background. Okay, I thought I was gonna make this better. I'm definitely making it worse, and I'm loving it. So is it just gonna invert the background, or you know what? I'm just gonna not worry about it. Let's just go ahead and save. Yeah, okay. That's not how I expected this to go. This is even better. Let's exit now. Oh, we definitely made it worse. CD, AutoCAD, AutoCAD. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. All right, so to fix that other problem, I have to go and unlock file, and then I'm gonna unlock sample/skate truck.star just to unlock all of the files related to it. There we go. And now we'll load it again. Oh, colors! Oh, this is sweet. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. So there's definitely a way to like set the menu select color stuff. The VGA driver by default uses yellow for the select highlight, but whatever. We're not going to worry about that right now. But let's just prove that. Oh, first off, let me fix the refresh rate. Oh gosh, yeah. All right, first off, let me prove that it is full speed 8514 by redraw. God, it's so fast. That is just so impressive. All right. Yeah, this is wild. So if I do a pan as well, let's say we just want to move this up slightly. Okay, so pan, I did not know pan would have to recalculate the vectors. That's kind of annoying. So I believe the like recalculation of where all of the drawings should be is handled by the CPU. And then it just tells the 8514 where the lines are. So it's keeping a list of vectors in RAM, essentially, to do this. By the way, the RAM setup, oh my gosh, it's such a nightmare on this thing. So we have all of this here, but then this, the extended memory and the swap size, swap rights. The first time I set all this up, I spent so much more time on just trying to get the RAM to work right. It runs so ridiculously slow out of the box on the PS2 because the RAM doesn't work right, especially with DOS 4.0 with using the XMA memory controller. Dude, it gets bad. So yeah, the original time that I set this up, the majority of the effort was spent on just figuring that out, which was terrible. But yeah, this works really well. And it's also cool because we can have all this information up over here, and then we can just like keep working over here. Somehow it should be possible to use AutoShade, I think, to render this as a solid, although AutoShade doesn't support the 8514 AI interface, but it can support the ADI, which is weird. I don't know. I don't understand AutoShade. Yeah, it's weird. I think solids load AME file. I do have the advanced modeling extensions as part of my big package of this stuff. Again, though, I do not know how to use this. Oh, that's right. I have the AME, but I don't think I have the auth code on my disk for some reason. Yeah. AutoCAD, man. It's just, ugh. Now, the thing that the hacked driver allows us to do is draw lines. This is what we could not do before. I did actually attempt to do that. It was not possible. So that is one of the things we can do now. We should have all of the abilities unlocked here. Whoa. I don't actually know what this is. 3D objects. Let's put a sphere for sure. Loading 3D objects. Boom. Number of longitudinal segments. Okay. Yeah, I like 16. Sounds good. Number of latitudinal segments. Now we're going to do 32. Look at it. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is so cool. Dude, having the separate command monitor, pretty darn sweet. Yeah, this rocks. I really wish I knew how to make it solid, though. Yeah, I think we need the AME to do solid or not. I don't know. If someone knows how to do solid, I would love to know in the comments. Anyway, let's go ahead and load another file. We'll do a quit on the other display. Discard all changes. Yep. I do like I was going to ask if we want to register that. I would if I could. It was only, I think it was $150 to get the ADI driver for this. It might have been 200, but it was around that cost, which compared to the cost of, you know, the monitor, the card, the software, AutoCAD itself, pretty good deal. To go from, you know, 20 seconds to redraw to 1. Let's go ahead and edit sample shuttle. It's one of the more complicated documents because it has multiple views in it, which makes it weirder to like rotate. Redraw command can be used. So yeah, redraw all. It gets weird with the multi-views. My gosh, that's so fast. Wow. Yeah, this is so cool. Well, that is multi-monitor 8514A on the IBM PS2. And this is probably going to be the last time I use this PS2 for a while. It is a very obnoxious computer to get set up and going, but man, it just has some cool, weird hardware. I never knew about the stuff like the 8514A. And honestly, it is one of my favorite computer peripherals of all time now. Seriously, I cannot overstate how impressive it is to have the hardware acceleration like that offloaded from the CPU for things like this. It is so cool. Now, AutoCAD may not be the only application that can do the dual monitor stuff. It was actually listed in the 8514A's technical reference manual. So it was a intended feature, much like the different resolutions that it can support. But I don't know how many applications took advantage of it. It's not like Borland C would have had a reason to use the 8514A for the editor, but it might have. I don't know, maybe Lotus 123 used the 8514 for, chart views and then still kept text on here. There's a lot of complicated programs out there that I could look into trying to get set up, but it's really difficult to do that for every single thing. And it's difficult to research it all because it's not like they all touted 8514A support on the box. Some of them did, of course, like DeskView X, but that doesn't do dual monitor either. But that's going to be it. The 8514A really took me off guard. I have spent now about 2 months working with and researching it because it was just so unexpected to me. I initially thought I was just going to use it for the higher resolution and color depth for the scanner video, and then finding out I could do all of this is just like mind-blowing. So yeah, but that's it for now. If you enjoyed this video, you may want to subscribe to be notified when I release another one. Most of my second channel videos are not this complex, just FYI. If you want to help support the channel, you can find me on Patreon. But for now, that's it, and I will see you next time.